So when doing technical analysis, it's important to get various perspectives. And so I'm going to walk through a couple of the different chart styles that we walk through each time that we make a stock selection for our portfolios. So we're going to dive into the difference between looking at things on a daily perspective versus looking at things a little bit more long-term on a weekly perspective. So stick with me as we dive into the details. My name is Brian Cannon, and welcome to Markets in 5. So as we dive into the S&P 500 on a daily basis, what that means is we're looking at the stock's performance day by day, and then we're plotting that over time, and that's essentially what this chart shows. And as you can see, we're above the all the moving averages. We're holding trend lines. It's come down and touched it several times. So nice, healthy, uptrending market, higher highs, higher lows, keeping things within the channel, nice. So again, we've got kind of this mid-range resistance that we're watching. So, if we can break through that, then that's great. If not, then, it's going to bounce around a little bit more. But I don't see anything on this chart other than the RSI being slightly overbought. To me, that's not a big concern. Markets can stay overbought for a period of time, but it does mean that the market could be getting a little bit tired, and we just need to keep our eye on it. And especially as we approach September, which is historically the worst month of the year. Now, as we look at the S&P on a slightly different perspective, we're looking at it now. Each bar represents a weekly performance of the S&P versus a daily. So it's a little bit different way to look at a trend over time. And if you look at the weekly performance, you can see that it very much looks tired. It's kissing the top end of the channel trend up there. Again, no red flags at this point, and it could continue to ride that upper trend line for quite a while. But that's just something we're monitoring. But from a weekly perspective, you can tell there's just a little bit different perspective you gain from looking at things from a daily basis versus looking at things on a weekly basis. So if we look at the NASDAQ on a daily basis, you can see that it's got a nice little breakout here. RSI is definitely overbought, but again, can stay like that for a period of time. But that is something to watch. And, the markets don't stay overbought forever. And so, and when you have a breakout, oftentimes you'll come back down and test it. So that's something we're going to be watching very closely for. But again, nothing disturbing when looking at this chart. So when we look at the NASDAQ on a weekly basis, you can see, again, we're kissing that trend line just like the S&P on a weekly basis. However, we've got maybe a little bit more room to run up here. If we can break through that resistance and keep going, I would anticipate it to come up and kiss this upper trend line. But if not, it might just run the trend line for a while. But again, everything from a weekly basis looks fine as well. Just slightly different perspective. Now, when we look at the small caps, they've done nothing this year. They've gone sideways, up and down, and have not been able to break above this trend line. So this resistance up here has been a barrier. So we're watching that closely, but you can see here there's just a lot of sideways consolidation, and we're looking for either a breakup or a breakdown. So if we look at the small caps on a weekly basis, then you can see same thing. They're kissing that upper trend line. This gives you a little bit different perspective. In this chart, again, same thing. Could run this trend line for a while, but to me, it's looking old and tired. So in wrapping up, you can see that by taking a step back and looking at positions and looking at indexes in multiple ways really can almost tell a different story. It can almost give a different perspective where if you make up your mind using one chart and you don't go and you look at the 15 other charts that we do, it can lead you down a path that might not be the right path. So this is just simply an example to show you, the difference between looking at things from a daily perspective and looking at things from a weekly perspective. So hopefully you got a little something out of this, but if we can be of assistance in your way, or if you've got any questions, give me a shout. And we'll see you on the next Markets in 5.